Hello everyone, you're watching Campus Channel and we're here with ESCP Europe. We're going to talk about the Master in Management. We have the Program Director, Thomas ALLANIC, and we also have a student, Giulia PIANTONI, here to take your questions. But first we're going to start with the pitch. All right, Thomas, you have 60 seconds flat. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, go.
So that's a challenge, but I can say that ESCP Europe is the world's first business school in the world because it has been established in 1890, so almost 200 years, by Jean-Baptiste Say and a few entrepreneurs. That's the first thing. I can say that we are a European school with a very rare multi-campus model based in Berlin, Paris, Madrid, London, and Warsaw. And this is a wonderful cultural experience for the students. And I'd like to say that it's also a big network because we have more than 50,000 alumni in 150 countries in the world. So this is a big network for students.
All right, and well, that's time.
Yes.
We're going to move on.
Just on time.
Exactly. We're going to move on to the face-to-face. Please remember to keep sending us your questions. They're going to show up right there. So let's take the first one, and Thomas, I'll let you read this for us.
Who is the ESCP Europe MIM student? Would you accept me if I have a bachelor's in French literature? Yes. Good news, that's possible for you. If you want to join the ESCP Europe Master in Management program, you can do it with this Bachelor in Literature. For you, there is a special admission test called Concours Admission Direct.
So who's the typical student for the MIM though, the typical person who applies? Who are you looking for?
We want the best students, obviously, but we don't have one profile. And you know, that is the main advantage of this program because all the students meet very different students coming from all over the world who have very different profiles, very different expectations. So we have French or Italian engineers, Indian engineers, but we also have a few students coming from the French literature. We have obviously management students coming from all over the world. Most of them are French, German, Italian, but we also have Chinese, Indian, and American students. So there is no one profile, but we want the best student as possible.
So Giulia, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your profile is and why you came to the MIM here?
Sure. So I'm in the last year of studies at ESCP Europe, but I decided to do the path of 3 years. So I started in Turin as pre-master year, and then I moved to Berlin for all the year for my M1, and then for my last year I decided to live and experience abroad. So I was in Hong Kong for the first semester in the City University of Hong Kong, and then I moved to Paris for my last semester.
And what were you studying before? Why did you choose this particular program?
Yeah, so I studied economics and management in Italy because I come from Milano, but at the end I decided to enter ESCP Europe because like at ESCP Europe you have the opportunity to live and experience different campus, so go abroad and decided for the campus you prefer, but at the same time during the summer you work. So like for example, I'm a passion for the automotive sector, so after my first year I work in Italy, and then I moved to France again to work in the automotive sector too.
So Thomas was saying that he would accept French literature students into this program.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a big variation or a big variety of different backgrounds and academic careers that people have gone through in your particular program? Are you meeting people from all sorts of backgrounds?
Yes, and to be honest, this is one of the strengths of our school because it's super interesting and also challenging for us, working, for example, in team with people coming from different backgrounds. So, for example, I study management, international management, but I used to work with people coming from engineer, from literature, from psychology too. So really, the diversity is one of our strengths.
All right, let's take this next question here. Thomas?
What are your selection criteria? Can experience make up for mediocre grades? Yes, we have slightly different selection criteria. It depends on the admission test you apply for, but usually we want the first criteria are the grades. We want the best academic profile students, but we pay attention to internships too. And the work experience is also a very important dimension in the MIM, because we do think that this link between the academic performance and the professional experience is really important. That's the reason why we want the best academic profiles, but that's not enough. The internships can make the difference.
So, and I imagine you have people coming from professional backgrounds as well who have work experience. Does that factor into the application as well?
It helps, but usually the main target of this program is young students. I mean, it's not an MBA, you know.
Certainly.
So the maximum is 2 years of professional experience.
And then after that, you would suggest that they look for a different program?
Yes, yes, because that's not the purpose of this program. It's for young students with just 1 or 2 years of professional experience. Usually they have a bachelor, and then they can join this 2-year program. And if they don't have a bachelor, for instance, class prépa in France, they join the pre-master year and then the 2-year program.
And you've mentioned a couple of different admissions tests. Are there particular admissions tests that different students take? How do they know which one that they need to take for this program?
It depends on the location of their studies. I mean, if they are French students, they have the classe prépa or the concours d'admission direct. But if they come from from Europe, for instance, they have the pre-master admission test in Torino, or the European master admission test for German students, for instance. And if we also have non-European students, 23% coming from, let's say, China, India, and they have a common admission test for ESCP Europe and other schools.
Which is given in English, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's take the next question here. Giulia, will you read this, please?
Yeah, of course. I saw in your brochure that you can do a gap year in between the first and second year. Why do most students take a gap year? Is it so they can work for a year, or do they spend a year traveling around?
Yes, it's not compulsory. I would like to be very clear on this. It's not compulsory, but I must say that a majority of our students apply for a gap year between M1 and M2 because they want to gain more professional experience. Yeah. So it's not compulsory, but you can do it, and usually they split their gap year with 2 different internships for that if they want to. But this program is also very flexible because, I mean, you can also split your last year and 2 years in 2 different terms, 1 study term and 1 internship if you want, and then you have to do your last term during the next academic year. So you can customize your master program. The M1 year is the same wherever you are. I mean, it's the same content, but obviously the teaching methods are different from one country to another, and that is one of the added value of the program. But after the M1 year, you can customize and apply for a gap year or a gap semester.
Gap semester too, yes.
And that's
so you don't have to do the full year, you can do just 1 semester.
Yes, yes.
And so do they have to have the gap year approved, or are there certain criteria that they have to fulfill to get a gap year approved?
Usually we help the students. But obviously, if they find an internship by their own, we check if this internship meets our criteria. But usually it's not a problem. But we also have a career service on all our campuses. We have a team who can help the students to find good opportunities, good internships.
So the gap year is not to take a break. They must be working in that time. Okay.
They have to work. And usually we don't have to force them because they are very good students and they want to gain more professional experience.
Yes.
So did you apply for gap year? No, you did.
No, I didn't apply for the gap year or gap semester because I prefer finish my path at ESCP Europe.
So you work during the summer?
Yeah, I work during the summer, from the end of the previous year to the beginning of the second one, the next one. But I know there are many people, like also my friends, who decide to take, for example, a gap semester in order to work more in a specific company, and so of course to increase the skills, the professional experience. It's up to you. It's really your decision.
Got it. All right, let's take the next question. Thomas?
How recruiters can make difference between the MIM and the Bachelor from ESCP Europe? There is a few differences. First of all, a Bachelor students is the 3-year, is the younger students. They are younger, even if they also have European experience. They are younger, they have less professional experiences, obviously. So we provide a transcript, an official transcript with the diploma. And as soon as you have a look to this
there's
transcript,
no question.
There is no question.
Master's, a bachelor's,
it's
a
really
bachelor's.
clear.
Yeah.
It's really clear because obviously it's a different degree, and you can see that they don't have so many professional experiences.
Right, because with the master's you automatically get the additional professional experience that you don't get in the bachelor's.
Yes, it's slightly different.
All right, let's take the next question here. Julia,
Yes.
will you read these, please?
Of course. Do you still have a double degree with the CentraleSupelec?
Supelec,
Sorry,
yes.
it's French.
It's a hard one, yeah.
Yes, it's a
Sorry.
challenge.
Okay. If so, what are the conditions to apply?
I guess it's a French applicant.
I would imagine.
Because yes, we do have double degrees with engineering schools.
The MIM, the ESCP Europe
yes.
MIM, okay.
And we have it with Indian universities, for instance, or Chinese universities, but we do have with French famous engineering schools like CentraleSupelec or Mines Paris-Tech. It's new since this year, École des Mines, NSAE, which is it's a statistics school, and ESTP. It's quite slightly different, but yes, if these students apply for the MIM and if they are selected, they will graduate the MIM program and this French engineering school, CentraleSupelec. So it helps to find a job. Obviously, it's wonderful for them.
Is there a specific application process that they need to go through for these double degrees, or do they apply to the MIM and then apply?
They apply to the MIM.
Okay.
And if they are admitted, they can be selected for the CentraleSupelec or other business schools like Mines Paris-Tech. It depends on their level.
Got it. All right, let's take the next question here, Thomas.
In which campus can we do this master? Oh, it's very simple. You can do it in Paris,
Yes.
Berlin, London, Madrid, Torino,
And
in
Warsaw.
M1, and Warsaw.
Yeah.
It's new. So we are a European school. This is our DNA. But
Yes.
that's not a limit. It's not a limit because
Yeah.
you apply for an exchange program.
Yeah, for example, like as I told before, I spent my first year in Turin, then my my M1 in Berlin, and then instead of spending my whole last year in Paris, I decided to go abroad for an exchange program. So only for the first semester, but you also can decide like to go abroad for a double degree, and so spend all your year abroad. So it's really up to you again.
And for instance, you can apply for the Berlin campus for the whole
Yes.
year, even if you don't speak German.
Yeah, of course,
Because all the courses are in English.
Yeah.
But if you want to study in German, you can also apply for the Berlin campus in M2, and then most of all the courses will be taught in German. So it's another dimension of this European experience. We are not talking about just campuses. It's also a matter of languages, a matter of nationalities.
Yeah.
And among the students and the professors.
But in any case, they will have to travel in this program.
Yes.
They won't be able to complete the program in just one campus.
You cannot stay on the same campus during all your studies. You have to work in different countries.
Yes.
And that's a promise we make to the companies. If you are an ESCP Europe graduate, it means that you worked and you studied in 2 different countries at least.
All right, let's take the next question here, Thomas.
Your site says we can obtain up to 3 different degrees, and another page says up to 4. Please clarify, and how is it possible to get these many degrees? I'm sorry if it's not clear, but I do confirm that it's 4.
Okay.
4. It's possible.
That's a lot of degrees.
Yes. And that's a question, because I think our responsibility is to help the students to make their decision. And students are not copycats. They have different expectations, different projects, and our responsibility is to help them to customize them in program. And I think it could make a difference. If you want to start your professional life in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be a good opportunity for you to apply for the Italian degree. And the same in Berlin. Did you apply for additional degrees or not?
Only for the Italian and French one, for example. Yes. Not for the German one, because I spent 1 semester in Hong Kong, and there are some rules inside the ESCP Europe. But when you spend 1 semester abroad in your M2, you cannot get the the master in management degree from Germany.
Okay. Sometimes there is a few differences about the requirement, but we tried during the previous years to harmonize all these different regulations. So it's usually quite simple. Even if you study only 1 semester on the Madrid campus, for instance, you can graduate the Spanish degree. Why? Because we have this accreditation system, and the Carlos III University accept to deliver their degree even if you don't study in their university, because they trust the European model, and they know that we deliver good quality courses, and that's, I think, one of the added value of the program.
So obviously the degree from France will be the Master's in Management.
Yes.
And it's the equivalent from the other countries as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And you can check online. It's the same for the City University degree with the London campus. So you can find all the information online and make your own decision. It's very subjective.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from the face-to-face because it's time for 3 words max. Our guests have 3 words to describe their program, and they get 1 phrase to explain each word. So who will give me the first word?
Do you want to do it, or I can do it? It's up to you.
Yeah, maybe I can start.
All right.
Yes.
I would like to say that for me, if I would tell 1 word to describe my school, it would be like a multicultural experience. And
That's 2 words.
Oh, very true. So
multicultural, maybe.
Yeah, multicultural.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you're right. Because and you can see this multicultural aspect by considering and having the possibility to change, and so to go to different campus. But at the same time, you can work abroad, as I did, for example, and also you will study with the other people coming from all over the world.
All right. And number 2.
I'm afraid it's 2 words. Work experience or internships. It's only 1 word.
All right, there you go. All right, solved.
Internship.
Saved.
Why? Because there is a strong link between the academic dimension and the work experience. We want the students to understand that it's not 2 different worlds, and they have to understand that they must gain more professional experience. But there is a strong link with the academic research, and we want them to be aware of this.
All right, and number 3, last word. Is this you, Thomas?
Oh yes, yes. You said intercultural. No?
Oh yeah,
multicultural.
Multicultural. Yes, multicultural internship, and I would say network, because that's a real added value. I mean, all the alumni can help you to find the internship or the job you would like to have. And it's a wonderful opportunity for all the students. Usually they don't realize at the beginning that it's really helpful, but believe me, at the end they know.
All right, very good. Let's get back to the face-to-face. It looks like it's a question for Giulia.
It's
for you.
Julia, why did you choose ECP Europe instead of 1-year program like at Bocconi? Okay. So for me, I decided to choose ECP Europe, especially for this freedom that you have as a student to decide it for different campus. And then I was also searching for a more complete experience. Because like as I told to you before, it's like I decided also not to do the 2 master year, but like 3 years, because in this way I had the opportunity to live in different campus and like to work in different companies. So, for example, my pre-master year I was in Turin and decided to work for Fiat Chrysler Automobiles in marketing, and then I spent my first year in Berlin, and I decided to work in Michelin in Clermont-Ferrand in internal audit, and then now I spent my first semester in Hong Kong, and now I'm in Paris. So it's like during these 3 years, I really feel that I grow up not only as a student, but really as a person, like a future employee.
Excellent.
Yes. Yes, I would like to add something. I think all the people have to understand that it's a different from. I mean, it's not a 1-year specialized or general program. It's a 2-year program. It's a general program with a specialization during the 2nd year. So I think it's different than a specialized master or a general program. We have the best of both worlds, I would say. It's a general program with a 2nd year for a specialization.
Yeah, this is true. If I could add something to this point, like for example, in my first 2 years, so pre-master and M1, I studied international management. But then for my last year, I studied like applied statistics and finance in Hong Kong. And now in my 2nd semester, I'm studying sustainability. So it's like my idea were not super clear when I started the ESCP to what I would like to study more. But then after 2 years of preparation, I say, okay, now Giulia, you know what you would like to do at least.
And usually, you know, it helps the students to customize and personalize their program, because usually sometimes we have students who don't know exactly what they want to do, and they need time. They need time to understand what would be the best job for them. And sometimes one internship helps you to know if you want to work in this field or not. And you need time.
All right, let's take the next question here, Thomas.
One of the goals of this program is to develop students' European identity. What if students are not European at all and come from somewhere like India or China? That's wonderful. I mean, you know, the European model is not just a matter of nationality. We do think that you can be a European ambassador even if you come from China or wherever you want. Because if you live this European experience, you know exactly what it means. And I think that it's a real advantage for the students to understand this European cultural dimension during these studies than discovering it on the job market.
Yes.
It's a real advantage when you enter a job market. You know exactly what it means to work to have a group work with one Indian, one German, one French, and let's say one Brazilian student. It's not so easy. It takes time. And this program enables you to live this European experience.
And so what does that mean exactly, developing someone's European identity? What is the European identity for a student?
I think for me or for a student?
Well, so for the program, the European identity that they're going to develop in this program.
You know, Europe is a space where there is a large diversity, a wide range of different nationalities in a small area, finally. Because if you compare with United States, in United States it's only one country. I mean, there is a few cultural differences, but here it's a lot of different language in a very small area. So you have to understand that there is a lot of people coming from this place or wherever you want, who are good, but they have a different mindset, a different way of thinking, and you have to integrate this in your everyday life.
All right, let's take the next question here. Giulia, will you read this, please?
Yes. Do I need to be on the French campus in M2 if I want to do your apprenticeship track?
Thomas?
Yes, we have this apprenticeship track, and I would like to say that it's very interesting for our students, because if you want to gain work experience very quickly, it's for you because you are a student and you work in a company. That's the first advantage. Second advantage, you are paid during your studies. And last but not least, you don't have tuition fees to pay. So that's a real advantage. And we have two different formats for that. It's based on the Paris campus. I do confirm that it's based on the Paris campus because it's linked to the French regulations. But you can do it only for the last year, the M2 year, or you can do it during the M1 and the M2 year. So it's up to the students.
So they'll have to plan their moving strategically and where they're going to be at what time.
Yes, obviously.
All right, let's take the next question. It's going to show up here. Thomas?
How many courses comprise the year 2 specialization? Oh, it lasts only one semester. Yeah. Usually it's 120 hours. So it's 4 30-hour courses. So it's usually it's 120 hours, but you can also add a few electives if you want. It's up to you.
Yes.
Did you do that or not? It's up to you.
Yeah, because like for example, I'm Italian and I talk a little bit of French and decided to take some elective courses in French, like to obviously to learn something new, different from my specialization, but also to improve my language skills in French. So yeah, it's absolutely up to you again.
And so how many specializations are students able to choose from?
40 on our different campuses. I mean, we have specialization in entrepreneurship, for instance, in London, in Berlin, in Paris, in Madrid, but it's a different angle. You know, you can work in finance, obviously, in marketing, in Internet of Things. There is a wide range of different specialization, so it's up to you. It could be management des industries culturelles. So it depends on the field you would like to work in, and you can study in German, in English, in French. It's up to you.
All right, let's take the next question, Giulia.
Yes. Do I have to know what cities I want to study in when I apply to the MIM? Okay, yes, there is like a specific timing during the year where you have to choose your campus for the next year, but no, like when you apply, I think, Thomas, I think that I need your help here.
Yes.
You have to know only for your first year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
but
then
yes, we only ask you only for the first year, but we do recommend to planify the whole program because it helps. And my first advice would be to think about the specialization you would like to apply for, because we cannot provide the same specialization everywhere,
Certainly.
whenever you want. So you have to think about it and say, okay, I would like to study in London in banking and finance, for instance. So it means that maybe during the M1 year, I would like to study on another campus in another country. That's my only advice. We ask you your first location for the first year, but you should planify the 2-year program.
Are there any campuses that are particularly more competitive than the others that might...
No,
where you might not get your first choice?
Sometimes, but we help the students to meet their objective.
Yeah.
And Julie, what was your first choice?
I spent my time in all the choices that I selected. So I was really lucky. Like for example, for the exchange program, you have to do a selection and insert some different destination. And for example, it depends by your grades. But I went in my first selection. So.
All right, Julie, we have a question here for you.
Yes. Hi, Giulia. What are your career plans? Okay, so as I said earlier, I work in the automotive sector, but now because I'm in the last year of studies, I would like to work in consulting. So I'm actually searching for something in consulting.
Okay, and did you know what you wanted to do whenever you applied to this program, or it was something that you developed, it was an idea you developed during your studies?
To be honest, it's something that I have developed during the year because when I started ECP Europe, my dream was to work in finance. But then I say, no, maybe I'm not the right person to work in finance, but it was like really a development, a path for me. And so, yeah, you can always change your ideas. And it's also for that I, to discuss the question that I answered before, that like it was really useful for me choosing a 3-year programs instead of 1 because I didn't have any really super clear ideas. So I say, okay, maybe I can take 2 years of international management, in the same time try to work in a company, and then decided for my last year specialization and focus on what really I want to do.
All right, we are halfway through the interview, and that can mean only one thing. Yes, that's right, it is time for Russian roulette.
Okay.
Will they get the best or will they get the worst? There's only one way to find out. So, Julia, you seemed very enthusiastic about this section,
Yes,
so we're going to let you choose.
Okay. Okay.
What did we get?
Best memory.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh,
You
okay,
can't get any
choice.
better than that. So, what's your best memory from the program?
Okay. It would be maybe hard to say or different to imagine, but like my best memory inside ECP Europe was about my application process. Because for me, I was super scared to do this application, and like especially for the face-to-face interview, because I was super young and it was my face-to-face interview. I've never worked before, so I was super scared. But for me, it was a really challenge. And when I go out from like my face-to-face interview, to be honest, I cry. But after that,
this sounds like a really bad memory, actually.
No, because it was really a super challenge for me. And after that, I say, okay, Giulia, you did it. So you did your best, and like it was really a challenge for me. And to be honest, this is my best memory from ECP Europe.
Bravo, now you're here.
Thank you.
And
you did it.
So you have much more experience in this program and at ESCP Europe than Giulia. So do you have a best memory from your time at ESCP Europe that you'd like to share?
Oh, I have many good memories, but I just have only one good memory, but for me, my motivation, I like to work at ECP Europe because there is just a few things which is really important for me. Each time I'm in the school, I can hear a lot of different languages, and that's one of the things I like at ECP Europe. When you are on the Paris campus, you can hear Italian, German, French, Hindi, Portuguese, and that's what I like at ECP Europe.
All right, very good memories. Let's take the next question here, Thomas.
What is the difference between the MIM and an MBA? An MBA is a general management program, usually for older applicants, and the MIM is a 2-year program. The first year is a general program, and the second one is a specialization with a wide range of different electives. So it's a different position, you know, a different target for the applicants. And yes, you should apply for an MBA later on.
So do you think students who do the MIM now, will they need to get an MBA later on?
Usually they don't, because they don't need it, but some of them do it. Usually, maybe after 3 or 4 or 5 years, some of our MIM students apply for Harvard. This week, I received a message from an alumni, and she said, "Oh, thank you for your help, because you helped me during the application process in Harvard, so it helps." But that's a minority. Usually, they graduate and then they work.
Giulia, do you think you might need to get an advanced degree later on after the MIM once you start working?
To be honest, yes, for sure, yes. And I'm already planning to do something later.
All right, let's take the next question here. Thomas.
Can you tell me more about the Startup Europe seminar at European Parliament? Does the ECP cover transportation costs? Yes.
Yes.
Good news.
Okay.
You don't
yes
have to
is to the
can
second part of
confirm.
the question.
Yes, you don't have to pay anything for that.
All right.
And that is one of the big moments of the Master in Management program, because this is the seminar where all the students, well, the whole class is attending the same seminar at the same moment.
No matter which campus they're on, everybody is there.
Everybody is coming to the European Parliament in Brussels. And you did it?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's more than 100 students in the European Parliament who are working on a legal text, and they worked as they were MPs. Because this seminar is
I thought this was a business school, so we're getting into politics now as well?
Yes, no, it's, you know, because we do believe that if you want to be a European leader, you have to understand how Europe works. And we do have some students who want to work in diplomacy, for instance, but that's a minority. It's possible. For instance, Michel Barnier, one of the alumni, ECP Europe alumni, is currently negotiating with Theresa May for the Brexit. And he's an ECP Europe alumni. So you can do it if you want. But a majority of our students want to work in big companies or startups, and they must understand, they have to understand how Europe works. Even if you are Chinese or an Indian student, it helps, because if you want to, when you're back in China, for instance, and you want to work with Europe, you have to understand how it works. And so this seminar is organized with ENA, and all the students have to negotiate as they have to understand. Last year we worked on the posted workers issue, and that's a very important issue in Europe. And if you run a company, you have to understand what are the legal or economic consequences of this directive. So it helps the student to understand how Europe works, and you understand how you can manage or run a negotiation.
All right, let's take this next question here, Thomas.
I have heard ESCP Europe is elitist and only for those who can afford expensive tuition fees. What financing options do you offer those who can pay 16,000 a year? Yes, we obviously we have this scholarship system. So if you have a scholarship, I don't know if it's French students, but if you have a scholarship, we'll take this into account. And we have also a ESCP Europe Foundation who can help the students for financing their studies.
Great.
And obviously, you can also apply for the apprenticeship program we were talking about earlier, and it helps the students. So we have some students who are this scholarship, and they apply for their apprenticeship, and so they don't have to pay anything.
So any response to their claim that ESCP Europe is a little elitist?
I'm afraid maybe we are. Like the other ones, but I say yes, we are elitist, but in the good way. I mean, we want to have the best students as possible, wherever they come from, and we are not the only one in this case. It's a competition, and yes, and if we have good students like Giulia,
thank you,
we will be elitist in the coming years.
All right, let's take the next question,
yes.
Giulia.
What kinds of challenges are presented in the Business in Europe seminar?
Oh, it's the last one, and we are currently changing the model.
Okay.
So you will discover it in April.
Okay.
So you don't know it yet. Do you want to tell us about it, Thomas?
It talks about transformation in organization. So it's slightly different than we did in the past, but
okay.
We're working on this issue. So it's a new theme. It's a scoop for you.
So what will they be discovering? What will they be working on?
They will. It's like a challenge, company challenge, but the topic is transformation in very different companies.
Okay, so how do you present that exactly?
It's a one-day seminar with a professor, and in the following weeks we'll start with the London and Berlin campuses, and at the end it will be we will end with the Paris campus, which is the biggest one, in April. So I'm sorry, we are changing this, and it's. I don't want to give the scoop to everyone right now.
All right, that's fair. You just got the scoop though, Giulia.
Yes.
All right, let's take the next question here, Thomas.
I have a bachelor's in business, and I've worked as a marketing manager for 6 years. Would you recommend this program for me? It's up to you. I mean, if you want to join the MIM program, you can do it. Obviously, if you have the good grades, you will be admitted. So it's up to you. With 6 years, I don't know your age. You can do it. You just have to think about the difference between you and the other students. Is it a problem for you or not? If it's not a problem, you can apply for it.
Yeah.
Usually the average is 22, 23.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little bit older because it depends by which kind of education you choose, etc. Because I'm 25, and also there are people in my class who are a little bit older than me, of course younger.
Yes.
But it depends by your experience, or so it's really your choice. Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah, it's up to you.
All right, let's take the next question. It's going to show up here. Here we go, Giulia. Will you read this, please?
Yes. What kinds of jobs will I be qualified for with the MIM?
So do you want to take a stab, or do you want Thomas to answer?
To you.
Yeah, maybe I can answer, and then Thomas, you can
yes.
add something. For me, it's like you are qualified for different kinds of job, and I would say all kinds of job, because it really depends by you. Like, as I say, I started with my passion for finance, and then I say, no, maybe it's better working in marketing, because like I didn't have any experience in this field, and then I work in internal audit, and all the time of course I started my internship with no skills, but really you learn on the job, and so ECP Europe prepare you on each kind of job you would like to do. So it's really, there is no specificity for me. It's it's true that like there are different specialization. So like for example, I study sustainability now, but I mean you can really, you don't have any limits for me.
No, yes, and as I mentioned earlier, we don't have one profile.
Yeah.
So it means that if you want to be an entrepreneur, like Jean-Baptiste say, you can do it. If you want to work in finance,
yes,
obviously you can do it, and ECP Europe is well known for that. But you can also work in politics, diplomacy. You can create your own company. Some of our degrees are applying for a PhD. So, as you can see, it's up to you. And we do think that students are not copycats. You have different expectations, different projects, and we want to help you to achieve your personal goals.
So you mentioned some students apply for PhDs. Is that a common path that students take, or is this mostly?
It's only 3-4% of our class, but it exists.
All right, let's take the next question here, Thomas.
How does this program incorporate entrepreneurship into the curriculum? Is it valued in the program? Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, we have different entrepreneurship specialization in M2, but students can apply for 1 or even 2 gap year between the M1 and M2, and some students create their company, their startup during their studies. And we have this entrepreneurship foundation, and they help students to create their own company. We have an entrepreneurship track in M1 for students who want to study and to create and to work in their company. So we help the students to achieve their entrepreneurship goals.
So studying is one full-time job, in my opinion, and then being an entrepreneur or launching your own business, that's 3 full-time jobs. So how do people balance it?
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a challenge. So if you like very intense challenge, you can do it, and we help you. So we created this entrepreneurship track, this business track, we call this in last year, because it looks like the apprenticeship track, because I mean, it's the same content, the same core courses, but it's a different format. I mean, it's like instead of having 1 marketing class each week, you have a marketing seminar, and then you go back to your company. So it's the same content with a different organization, and it helps the students to work in their company.
And so does ESCP Europe offer any kind of support for budding entrepreneurs in this program? Do they offer seed money or office space or anything like that?
Space, yes,
okay.
Obviously, yes, space. And we support, this project, but it depends on the size of a project and the maturity of this project.
All right, let's take the next question, Julia.
Yes. I would really like to focus my career on the luxury sector. Does ECP offer personalized counseling for professional development and career orientation? Of course, yes, and I would say there is also a society called the Luxury Society that was developed during my path at ECP Europe with a group of people working and focusing their attention on this specific luxury sector. So I don't know, I don't think it's really a specialization about that, because I mean it could be like everything luxury sector.
Yes,
yes. So there is not a specific specialization about luxury sector, but I mean there are many associations and many people interested in that sector.
And for instance, in France, L'Oréal is one of the biggest recruiters at ECP Europe, Chanel too, so it helps.
And so for you, Julia, outside of luxury, you want to work in the automotive industry. Are there links? Does the school have any kind of career support for you to help you make your way into that industry or to make advances in that industry?
Of course, yes, because both Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and Michelin are partners of ECP Europe. So I mean, it doesn't mean that it's easy to enter in this
Certainly.
company, of course, but it's like ECP Europe is working on create partnership with a lot of companies in different sectors in order to like comply each request from students.
All right. Well, at this point of the interview, I think everyone would like to know, does ESCP Europe have a sense of humor? So we're going to find out by taking a step sideways. All right, here we go. Thomas, would you like to read this, please?
Okay.
Your meme first impressions video looks like a feel-good electropop music video. Does every day at ECP Europe look like a United Colors of Benetton adventures? Yes, yes, probably. It's a positive question. I mean, it's not negative, and
No.
I do think that it looks like yes, a United Color of Benetton adventures, because obviously you see a very different students in the courtyard, and it's not a cliche. I mean, honestly, it's not a cliche. You work with very different profiles, with students who are coming from all over the world with different backgrounds, and it's not a cliche. You learn how to work with different peoples, and it takes time. It's not so easy. You have to understand that maybe these students coming from all over the world, he or she has a different background, but he or she is really good. But the only difference is that he won't address this issue in the same way that you do.
So Giulia, would you say there's a particular ESCP Europe attitude or style?
It depends, because what do you mean with style? I mean, like for me, ECP Europe is like it's something in which you really create connections. So, like I was discussing with Thomas before starting this interview, and he told me, yeah, Giulia, but maybe it would be hard, like for you, changing so many times place and location, and all the time searching for new houses and for a new place to stay. And I say, yeah, of course, Thomas, maybe sometimes it would be hard, but you know, like during the path of ECP Europe, you create a lot of connections. And so, like for example, now I live with a girl, and one of my friends I know during my pre-master year. So. Yeah, it's really an experience. You study a lot, you work a lot, but also you have fun a lot, of course. And you really create connection during the path.
And so, since we're talking about this United Colors of Benetton idea, do the different nationalities, does everyone mix really well? Do nationalities tend to group together and stay together? The Italians with the Italians, the French with the French, the Chinese with the Chinese, or does everyone truly mix?
I would say, yeah, there is a really true mix between the different nationalities, because like it's really value added. So for me, yes, I can have some friends from Italy, of course, but in the same time, like I live in Paris, and so why not? Why I don't have to have any friendship for France? So it's really a mix and a connection.
You know, obviously, it's easier to stay with if you're French, you stay with your French mates, but we are looking for open-minded applicants. So if you want to stay with your friends with the same nationality, please don't apply for ECP Europe. It's not for you in this case. If you apply for ECP Europe, it means that you want to meet different people with different background, and otherwise you won't make the most of it, and it would be a shame.
Like, for example, when I was in Hong Kong, there was only one position, and I was there alone, the only one from ECP Europe. But for me, it's like the school prepare myself to have this open mindset that for me, there isn't any problem to go to Hong Kong for one semester alone, because I really say I will meet people over there.
All right, let's take the next question here, Thomas.
Is there competitive placement for any of the campuses? Am I certain to get my first choice? You are certain if you are good students with good grades. Usually it's not a problem. You can have it. You can have your first choice. We ask second or third choice because we want to keep you a place somewhere.
Sure.
But usually it's not a problem. And but I'm the director, so I have to say that grades are the first criteria.
So how often is it that students don't get their first choice of campus?
So we help them to find a solution, obviously, and usually it's not a big deal. I mean, if you apply for the first year and you're not lucky, you don't have your first choice. I mean, let's say Madrid, it's not a big deal. You can study on the Madrid campus in M2. So sometimes it's just a question of time.
All right, let's take the next question, Julia. I think you can take this one.
Yes. Does ECP have support to help us find housing in each new city? Yes, actually there is a platform and also some groups on Facebook, for example, or also on Instagram. And usually there is help and support between ECP Europe students. Like, for example, when I finish my year at Berlin campus, I post really a message, say, hi guys, so I'm going to leave my house in Berlin in the next days. So if someone of you is interested in my house, please send me a message. So really it's a support between the students, but also there are some platforms and also some groups on Facebook and Instagram, on the main social networks.
So you've never had any panic moments where you're getting ready to go to a new city and you don't have a place to stay, you don't know where you're going to stay?
To be honest, I decided each year I decided to organize myself earlier, and so I started to search my house with some month in advance. But sometimes some people decide to arrive in the city, in the campus, and then search for an accommodation. But usually no, to be honest.
All right.
And usually it's a good system because it helps the students to save money. Sharing flats helps to save money, and it's also a part of the European experience because then you meet different people and you live with them. So that's a part of the program.
All right, we have another question here for Giulia.
Yes, Ciao Giulia, seems Italian. What has been the most valuable aspect of your experience at ECP Europe? Okay, I would say two valuable aspects. One, for sure, because I choose different campuses. So I change every year, and also for me, going to Hong Kong was a really value added for the courses, of course, but for the experience itself. And for sure, having the opportunity and the possibility to work within the summer, because generally it's hard in the normal system, or I mean the educational system that I know is hard working during summer because you have the exam, for example. But at ECP Europe, it's true that you start earlier during the year, and so you don't have a lot of holidays, but at the same time you have time to work during the summer. So for me, this just aspect. So the fact that you can really travel a lot, change a lot of campuses, not only Europe but outside, and at the same time working during the year, in the case of the apprenticeship, but also and especially during the summer.
Giulia likes a good challenge and she likes to work hard. Yeah. Is that the typical ESCP student?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm working at ECP for many years now, and I'm still impressed by the quality of the students. They are really dedicated to the school and they like challenges, and I'm really impressed, honestly, by their path. And they do a lot of different things in a very short period of time. So I'm really impressed.
All right, we have another question here that I think Giulia can take.
Yes. The program marketing say we will make lifelong friends. Is that really possible in a program where everyone moves right after a meeting? To be honest, okay, I was skeptical too at the beginning of my ECP Europe path, but my answer is absolutely yes. Because when you are so busy, you have to, because it's true that ECP Europe you really work a lot and study a lot, but you feel that you are in a network where all the other people are working a lot and are studying a lot. So the connection and the friendship contact that you make during one semester or only few months, I feel that they are really stronger than some other friendship that, for example, you build up in different months. So absolutely yes.
And so you still keep in touch with your friends from Hong Kong, from
yes,
Berlin?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely yes.
And do you see them? Do you plan trips to meet up, or how do you keep in touch usually?
Like, for example, in my first semester in Berlin, I met a girl from Taipei. And when I was in Hong Kong for my first semester, she told me that she was there to visit her family. And I went to Taipei to visit her. And it was incredible because when I was in Berlin, she came to Milano to visit me and my family. And then when I was in Hong Kong, she told me, hey, Giulia, I'm in Taipei, so come to visit me. And it was really incredible.
And so, Thomas, for you as the program director, do students keep in touch with the school? Do they keep you updated on what they're up to and what they're doing?
Yes, yes. Even if we have big classes, yes, they do it because there is a strong link. And as you mentioned, it's quite challenging. Mm-hmm. And if you have so many challenges, you must create this strong link with your classmates and with the school. Otherwise, you cannot make it. So this is the only solution to achieve your goals and to graduate is to create this strong link between the school and your classmates.
All right, we have another question here, Thomas, for you.
Your site says 97% of students find job within 3 months of graduating. Are these temporary or permanent contracts? Both. And but a majority of students have permanent contracts, and 60% get this contract before graduation. So and the last 3% are applying for PhD. They are not unemployed, you know. So finding a job at ESCP Europe after the MIM is not a problem. It's intense. If you want to have the best opportunities, it's not easy, but you will find a job, and the average salary is 42 or 43, I can't remember, thousand euros per year.
Is that in France? Or
that's an average for all the MIM students. It depends. I think if you are out and 45%, I think, of our graduates are working outside their country.
I see. And so for that very first job, how do students typically find that? Do they find it through ESCP, through their internships? What's the path?
Usually when we help them to find a job, and usually when they during the last year or even the last semester, they are studying or working in the country they would like to start their professional life, and you do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You do it. So usually it works in this way.
All right, well, we are almost out of time, and I want to finish with something nice for you. So it is time for the Sweetest. All right, so we would like to know what was your favorite moment or question from the interview, and we will start with Giulia.
For me, I think that the best question that I received today is about my best memory. Because for me, I know, and I'm an ambassador of ESCP Europe, and so I'm receiving many emails or many phone calls or many messages asking me, Giulia, I'm really worried, I'm really frightened for the application process. And I mean, for me, it was absolutely the same. Of course, you have to prepare yourself, you have to study, you have to be ready for the test, but it also was a challenge for me. Also, don't consider only the negative aspect, but also the positive one. Because really, for me, it was a super challenge, and I think that this was the best answer from my side today.
Very good. And for you, Thomas?
Honestly, I was a bit surprised by the Benetton question. but finally, I like it. Why? Because it's funny, but at the same time, it's true, and it's a very positive way. You, please, if you want to apply for ESCP Europe, have a look to the website, or you can visit our campuses if you want, and you will see. That's not just words. You will meet very different people in the courtyard, different cultures, different nationalities, different backgrounds. Engineers or not, management studies are not, literature. So this diversity is one of the added value of the program for the students, for the schools, and for the company. That's the reason why they hire so many ESCP Europe graduates.
Excellent. Well, thank you both very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time right here on Campus Channel.